Good morning. Good morning, everybody. We have a very special guest today, as you can see.
Surprise!
Sir
I'm Boogie.
Boogie. Boogie decided to make it to the show today. He's alive and awake and full of energy. And Boogie, why don't we start by asking you a question?
Okay.
Boogie, what is your all-time favorite snack?
Yes.
In the meantime, comment and tell us, what is your all-time favorite snack? And by the way, in the case that you haven't figured it out yet, obviously this is a judgment-free zone. We just want to know you. What is your all-time favorite snack? Boogie, tell us.
The answer is yes.
All of it. Okay.
Yeah.
He just crossed his legs. If only you guys could see it. Okay, top 3.
Yes.
Boogie,
What?
tell me your top 3.
Mama's salty sweat.
Mama's salty sweat. Okay, that's one.
Peanut butter.
Peanut butter, too.
Yeah. And fish.
Peach. In Boogie language, peach is fish. Okay, we want to know about you guys. What is your all-time favorite snack? How about you?
All-time favorite snack? It's not really a snack. It's more of a dessert.
Yeah.
Ice cream.
Ice cream. What kind of ice cream?
Treat. Man, anything with like good texture. Like chunks of peanut butter or peanut butter cups.
Candy in your ice cream.
Sugar on sugar.
Party ice cream.
Sugar with a side of sugar. Oh my gosh. Okay, but what about you guys here? Where are we at? I want to say good morning to y'all. Okay, Stacy, Larissa, Nicole, Julia, Stephanie, Jeanette, Jessica,
Wendy,
Carolyn, another Stephanie, Alicia, Victoria,
and Jen,
Julia, Tammy, Kelly. Wow, good morning. Anything with peanut butter.
Yeah. Chocolate.
Coconut.
Wait,
Fruit.
who said chocolate covered sea salt pretzels? I'm trying to imagine that.
Chocolate covered sea salt pretzels. Like chocolate sea
Oh,
salt.
got it. Okay.
Chocolate covered pretzels with sea salt. I love yogurt covered pretzels.
Chocolate peanut butter milkshakes. Extreme moose tracks, Erin. Extreme. Is that a Texas thing, Tammy?
What's the difference between extreme and regular moose tracks?
Yeah, what is that? Tell us.
Extra peanut butter cups and chocolate fudge or whatever they put in there. Waffle cone.
So I want to acknowledge a couple of things. Today is Monday, but today is also Memorial Day. We are noticing that there is less people in the room. So for anybody who's watching right now, I want to give you a shout out. And here is why. It's not even related to today's topic. Maybe, yes, indirectly related. Because most people right now are treating a Monday like it's a Sunday.
Or a Saturday.
Or a Saturday.
Night.
Yeah, or it doesn't matter. Now, for anybody who is not watching this right now because they're not awake, I'm going to tell you that they're going to have a way harder time having a successful week. So for anybody who's in the room right now, we're giving you massive love and acknowledging the fact that, you are sticking to a routine, you guys. Like, routine breeds success in anything. So
or failure. Depends on the routine.
Right. Either a shitty, but like a bad routine would basically mean not a set routine.
Your routine and your habits will dictate your outcome, your results, your life.
Yep. So for anybody who's in the room right now, like, you're showing us that you have a routine, and that's amazing. So congratulations for that, because that means that you're on the right path. So, you know, one of the many other things that we normally see that happen during, you know, a long holiday weekend basically is the fact that people just like, you know, they're not showing up for things that are normally in the routine. They're how you do anything is how you do everything. So they're probably not showing up in other areas of their life. Like, I'm just gonna take a break this weekend and like have some fun. Or not have a routine. Or just laxy-daisy a little bit more. Or make it a point that they're going to have fun. So for one, we're going to talk about the consequences of that. Like, what does it do to our minds, as well as what does it do to our bodies? Okay, we'll start by talking about that. And then we will transition into how do we harmonize, right? You know, events like longer weekends or, you know, anything with that regards and your goals.
Can we transform this into an even bigger topic though? So this is how our mornings go when we're about to start these lives. We never talk about it first. We're like, what's the topic? Okay, awesome. Open Facebook, open the group.
That's not true. We have a schedule.
We have a schedule.
Right.
But we don't, it's not like we plan ahead as far as what we're going to talk about.
No.
Like, I didn't even know what the topic was for we planned it. Yes, we have it planned. But I didn't know what it was until right when we were going to start, because we planned them in advance. But what I wrote in the headline too is like the consequence of starting tomorrow. So we can take that, yes, this is a holiday, and I think that the thing that everybody can relate to, whether you're in the US and actually celebrating the holiday, or if you're in Canada, or if
they had it last weekend, Victorian Day, I think.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter where you're at. It's this concept of I'll start tomorrow. I already messed it up today. I'll start tomorrow. Oh, it's a long weekend. I'll start after the holiday. Oh, it's, you know, holiday season. I'll start on January 1st. It's this concept of I'll start at some other point. Right? That is damaging. There's always two sides to a coin, right? So I'm sure there are times where people could say that and it makes sense. Yeah, right? Like if you ran a crazy hard race or whatever and then you had like a burger, I'll start tomorrow as like a mindset.
Yes.
And
the manana people.
Yeah, and it's an inconsistency that is a trend. Right? Always starting tomorrow. Okay, fine. There's always times where we're going to start tomorrow, right? But it's the always starting tomorrow.
It's something that I find that's very common with people who have an all or nothing mentality.
Yeah.
It's like, I just woke up late, so I might as well just have brunch and eat dessert. Fuck it, might as well start tomorrow, right? Like, these are trends that we see happen very often, and that's why we're bringing it up. So for one, let's bring up the concept of momentum, right?
Can I say one more thing, going back just a half a step, is to like this COVID thing, a lot of people, it's got them saying that same thing, like, oh, you know, hoping that COVID, like the lockdown or like the restrictions that we've had, are like waiting until it ends, right? Like waiting and just waiting. And then, you know, oh, I'll be able to get back on track when.
But it's always that same excuse. It's like COVID, the holidays, Christmas, Thanksgiving, right? It's a state of mind of waiting for the right time, when the reality of it is that the only right time is right now, because that's all you have.
You know what we're doing every day? Just getting warmed up.
Well, bring it closer to them. There's no.
It's going to be backwards to them.
So what?
Every day, just getting warmed up.
So here's the thing, you guys. Momentum is the number one thing that's most important to your success. So ideally, if I was to walk somebody through a sustainable weight loss or health transformation or fitness transformation, journey, here's how it will be. You have to commit. Without commitment, none of the following will happen. So commitment is one, and then we're gonna set some target that will allow you to be consistent. Again, a routine with some targets. For everybody, it's going to look differently. After generating momentum through consistency for a few number of weeks, right? Having proved consistency, we're gonna increase it a little more, right? And then we're going to practice consistency with that, and then we're gonna increase it a little more, right? Will it always have to increase? It depends. It depends on, where you're at. It depends on where you want to get to. It depends on how long you've been in this journey, right? After having been in the journey for a few years and being consistent with it, there's no more things that need to be added to the plate, but it's just like cycling through things, right? But consistency is the most important thing. And that is because when you're consistent, you build momentum and then you run with it, right? And when you're ready for more, you only know that you're ready for more having been consistent. Then we build momentum with the more, right? Now, a lot of times what happens with people who either want to lose weight or who get started in their journey, at first, because they're in so much pain, they perceive the pain and the discomfort and the frustration of either being out of shape or not, or, like seeing that, oh shit, like it's warm outside, I put my bathing suit on and I look like shit, right? We've all been there, right? Like you translate the being in pain and the frustration with being ready. Now, there's a big difference here, because when you're ready, you commit, okay? And when you're frustrated, your mind will tell you that you're ready because it feels the pain, but the reality is that you are not, the amount of action that you're ready to take in that given moment seems to be more extreme than what it is that you're actually capable of. And that is because you haven't been through the process. So the only way to see success and results is to get into the process and be consistent in the process. Okay, which requires three things. It requires a shift in attitude, right? Like it's Memorial Day weekend, today's Memorial Day, right? Doesn't matter, still waking up at the same time, still gonna work out, still gonna,
show up for espresso.
Right? So that's attitude. Taking action, right? It requires you taking action. The more disciplined you are, the more action you're ready to take. Now, a lot of times there's a disconnect because people who are not disciplined, who haven't built momentum, have this expectation that they're ready to take all this action when they haven't proved consistency. And that's why they give up. So they go through phases, oh shit, I'm so frustrated, I'm ready. They do all these things for like 1 week, and then they're like, okay, now I have a graduation party, whatever. Shit the bed for an entire weekend. And then they start again, right? And it's like a trend that goes on for months and years and like leads you nowhere. And it leads you nowhere because you're not being consistent. Like you don't have momentum. It's like you start creating momentum for 5 days, amazing. You drop, start over again.
It's like when you're driving down a street and there's a lot of stoplights and then you're like cruising and then the light turns red, so you have to stop.
Yes.
And then you start again. And then the next one turns red and you stop. And then you start going again. And then the next one turns red and you stop. And it's like, how many times have you been driving down the street with a lot of lights? Where if you're in the country, this might not be as much of a thing for you, but you know, how many times have you found yourself frustrated because you're like, every light is red, right? Especially when you're in a hurry to get somewhere, of course. And it also may not have happened much recently because, well, nobody's on the road. But, you know, I think it's a good analogy. However, you are the one controlling the color of the lights. Ooh. You are the one controlling whether or not you get to keep your momentum or you have to start and stop again. It's not your kids, it's not the graduation, it's not the holiday, it's not COVID, it's not anything but you. You are the only person, unless, heaven forbid, you are handicapped to the degree in which you cannot feed yourself, because that's a real thing. Nobody gets to choose what food goes in your mouth. If you're dependent or if you're handicapped to the point where somebody else has to feed you. Those are the only two exceptions to where somebody else gets to choose what you eat. But if you're watching this, you are a grown-ass adult who gets to make their own decisions, and you are the only one who gets to control what color the stoplights are for you. Mm-hmm. Right? And I think a lot of people are stuck in actually like red and yellow land, where it's like red is, I don't give a fuck, just eat anything and everything, who cares? Yellow land is go really fast so you can get your ass through the light. Right?
Yes.
Like, who pumps the gas down like, oh shit, yellow, right?
And then they get stuck.
Right?
And then they start over again. And then they get stuck.
But what do you like better? Everybody likes green better. Green means go. Green means money. Green means yeah.
Green means cruise control.
Green means get me through, right? So the thing is that when you first start, you don't go, your car doesn't go from 0 to 50 miles an hour or whatever the speed limit is. You have to get to 1 mile an hour before you get to 2. And you have to get to 2 before you can get to 3. And though those may happen quickly, imagine your weight loss being like, I gotta get to 100 miles an hour, but there's all these other 199 steps in between. And I'm never gonna get there if I keep turning the light red. Never. You'll never get to 100 miles an hour from one stoplight to another stoplight. It's not a freeway.
How many people in your life do you guys know who every January are like, this is my year? This is my year. I'm going to lose all the weight. And every time when you see them during Thanksgiving or Christmas, you're like, man, it's like they just keep getting fatter. Because they live in yellow land. If they live in red land, then they're not even trying. They're a lost cause, and if that's what?
She doesn't mean lost cause. Nobody's lost cause.
As in, they're not taking action. They don't want to take action. They don't want to help themselves.
Right. We can't help anybody who doesn't want to help themselves.
Is what I'm saying.
I know that's what you mean. So I just wanted to clarify.
Okay.
I don't want anybody to get discouraged to think that we don't believe in you. Right. Like, we'll always believe in you, but there's a certain amount of help that some people just need up until a certain point. Right. And we all do. And something that I've been saying lately that has like really stuck with me is like, everything is hard until it's not.
Right.
Everything's hard until it's not. But you have to go through those, from 0 miles an hour to like 30 or 40 miles an hour before the car stops using as much energy. You made an analogy the other day, actually, that was like an airplane. Like, When an airplane's taking off, the amount of fuel
Last
it uses.
Momentum Monday, if you're in the inner circle, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
when an airplane takes off, right, it burns 40% of the fuel during takeoff.
Just during takeoff, which is like
not
3
when
minutes.
It's cruising. So starting over anything, right, like takes the most amount of energy. And that's why taking a day off or, oh, I'll start back tomorrow is detrimental to your success because you're killing the momentum.
Red light.
You want to stay in the cruise lane. Like, even if you're going at 20 miles an hour cruising, it's better than you hitting a red light and speeding at 60 miles an hour.
And then stopping at the next one.
And that's why so many people get frustrated in their weight loss journey. Or, you know, if they start in our inner circle program, like depending on where they're at, like, look, some people who are starting from minus 30. I'm just trying to get you to minus 10 first.
You're literally going backwards.
Like and people have this expectation that they're gonna go from minus 30 to 100. But look, for one, you have to understand the objectives of how terribly are you doing right now, or how well you're doing. Now, if you're already doing somewhat well, and we're adding a few more things, then momentum is going to be picked up a lot faster. And that's why some people who get started on their weight loss journey, right, during the first 4 weeks, will lose 10 pounds. And that's why some might either not lose any and would have either stopped the weight gain from happening, or might lose a little bit, because it's all about momentum, right? But like, the momentum in which you build is dictated by one of two things. For one, where were you before the momentum was built? Mm-hmm. Were you having backwards momentum?
Were you gaining weight?
Right.
Consistently.
Were you having backwards momentum, or were you just like in a stop position? Right? So like, you know, I want to give a huge shout out to Crystal Catalina, because she's coming up on her 4 weeks. She, you know, yesterday she sent me a message and she's like, I'm finishing up my 4 weeks and I'm already down, 10 pounds. Here's the thing. Crystal started from zero, not from a minus. She started from zero, and she was consistent with every single one of the targets that was given to her every single day. So she built momentum fast. Now,
I also want to add to this, because now, you know, oftentimes we talk to people who think that when they're at zero and they want to start making forward progress, that all this change has to be made. So what we're really saying is, don't make a lot of changes. You can't make a lot of changes in the beginning and expect to be successful long term. You won't be able to keep up with it. You'll be overwhelmed. You're going to hate it. It's not going to agree with your lifestyle or align with, you know, or allow you any freedom to enjoy the things that you like, right? It's about taking little steps. So when Sarit says, yeah, Crystal hit all of her targets, it's not like Crystal had 100 targets that were like the most overwhelming thing in the world.
I want to give a shout out to somebody else who's in a different position, right? I want to give a shout out to Amelia. So her 4 weeks were up on Friday, and she was disappointed. But look, we're talking about two different people. So Crystal started at zero. However, Amelia started at minus 30. She's like, I'm so frustrated. I only lost an inch and a pound. I'm like, dude, you started from eating junk food every single day and drinking an insane amount of alcohol. You are now drinking 15 servings of alcohol per week, which is still very high. However, you're doing a lot better. So like, let's be realistic here. Like, you started at minus 30 and now you're at zero. So I told her, by week 8, this is where I expect you to be. By week 12, this is where I expect you to be. Like, don't compare yourself to anybody else. The only person that you need to compare yourself to is who you were a few weeks ago. That's that.
It all goes back to the expectations. When we make changes, we expect weight loss. Period. Not even considering the fact, oh, we just sent you an email. Open that. Not considering the fact that you gaining weight, you not gaining weight could be a win. But we expect, you know, if you've been gaining 5 pounds a month, then not gaining weight, is that a success or no? Right? Like you stopped going backwards, right? Like you were backing out of the parking lot. You got to go backward before you can go forwards. Right? But after you back up, before you go forward, guess what you do? You stop. Then you go forwards. Right? So if we take backing out of a parking space is like, I'm gaining weight, you're going backwards. You have to stop. Like your car cannot go forward without stopping going backwards. Right? You cannot go forward without stopping going backwards. So stopping is a step, a necessary step in the process. Then you get to move forward, right? We've also used the analogy of the ceiling fan and changing the direction there and all of that, but it's the same idea. So if you haven't watched our episode on expectations, you need to watch that as well.
Yep, yep. And that's exactly what I told Amelia. I'm like, you're doing an incredible job. Like, if that was not the case, like, I would have already called you out. However, at moments like this is what happens to people. They either throw down the towel, momentum stopped once again.
The white flag.
Or you just keep going.
Just keep moving.
Right?
Forward progress is forward progress. It does not matter how fast you're going, as long as you're going forward.
So back to what we're saying, you know, about the starting over tomorrow. That way of thinking is detrimental to your success, because if you keep on, you know, sabotaging by, let's say, going sideways a little bit, and you turn it into a slippery slope, and then you start over. For one, it's going to take 40 times the amount of action to get back to where you were. So it's going to take you like at least a week to get back to the day when you're like, I'm going to start over, right? And then you will have to pick up momentum. So like, you know, take that with, put that into perspective. You know, like if you do that on a pretty regular basis, like, oh, like I had a brownie, so I might as well eat the entire tray. Now, for one, by you eating the entire tray and not being intentional about it. Now, if you're being intentional about it and you're like, I just want to like go ham, balls to the wall, whatever. You already know what the consequences are, right? However, if that happens, most of the time it's because you're either not being intentional or food is controlling you. So you're going backwards, right? For one of those two reasons. So in order for you to... What?
Can I say too, I have another analogy that I'm thinking about. It's like starting tomorrow or starting on whatever day and, you know, then trying to, you know, go as fast as possible is like you have a mountain that you're climbing, and it's like you climb partway up the mountain, and then you just fall all the way back to the bottom, but somehow the bottom got lower. Mm-hmm. Somehow the mountain grew. Mm-hmm. Right? Okay, we gotta start climbing again. And we're survivors. Like when we want something, we go for it. So you're just gonna keep starting the climb over and over and over again, but the mountain just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and you keep falling further and further and further because you're trying to take too fast the steps, or you're trying to take too big a strides that you slip and you, right? So take small, consistent, steady steps up, and you will stay consistent on the way up. And the mountain won't be so high, and the low won't be so low.
Mm-hmm. So now, depending on where you're at, momentum looks different for everybody. For some people, having a piece of brownie is still forward momentum, to be honest. For some people, a piece of brownie is backward momentum, right? So you're the only one based off of your journey who gets to really say where you're at in the momentum building process. Somebody who just jumped on the line, who's been, you know, moving in a forward progression with her momentum is Becky Joe. right? She's now like sub 150, and when she started with us almost a year ago, you know, things look totally different. But now, on days like today, a lot of people end up slipping backwards, right? Due to one of two things. No, three things. They either don't have a plan, they're in a shitty environment, and they don't know how to handle that, or they don't have discipline.
Which all kind of are intertwined.
Everything is intertwined, right? Like some people in the room who are in the inner circle, you know, I've had a conversation with them this weekend, like, shout out to Mandy. She's like, Sarit, like, this is the first time that I'm realizing, like, how hard it actually is. Because she went to...
The environment.
In the environment that she was in this weekend. But, so, like, the worse is your environment, the more you have to flex your discipline muscle. Mm-hmm. And if you're not used to flexing it, then it's going to hurt. Or if you're not used to flexing it to that degree, then it's going to hurt. But that's
or you're just not going to flex it.
Right. And you're going to, you know, succumb to it. Right? Or Amanda Orego, I was just listening to her Voxer before we got on this call. She's in our inner circle too. Like yesterday, she cried from flexing her discipline. And I'm sharing your story, Amanda, because this is amazing. You know, she had her friend come over, and her girlfriend and her friend were having drinks and eating brownies, like right in front of her. So I told her, look, you know, for one, she didn't give in. So that's amazing. I told her congratulations on that. But she's like, I cried because I wanted to so much. So that's going to require two things. Like FOMO. Right. Either a conversation to whoever is in your environment, right? Like, look, the more I'm around this, like, the more uncomfortable I am. However, I don't think that other people who are in your environment who, let's say, want to either have extreme fun or sabotage themselves, depending on whatever it is that they're doing, right? I think that if you make a request for them to do something, then I think as a human, it's only fair to respect that. However, I don't think that other people who are around you need to stop living your life because you're choosing to rise above.
Stop living their lives.
Right. So greater amount of discipline will have to be, you know, practiced. And most people take situations that require greater levels of discipline to be practiced as failures because they're not willing to flex it hard enough. The harder you know how to flex your discipline muscle, the more bulletproof you'll become.
And the more you use it, the stronger it gets.
Right. So you have to put yourself in situations like that. And that's why you can't blame your kids. You can't blame your husband or your wife or your girlfriend or any but you. If you're not at a point where you can, where you're disciplined enough to say no when there is a tray of brownies around you or like a tub of ice cream in the freezer, then you need to just practice more discipline. However, if you know that you're still weak with regards to your discipline, then the more your environment is in alignment with what it is that you're doing, then the more you're boosting your chances of being on cruise control. So that a lot of times might require to have a conversation with people like, look, I either don't want this, or look, you know, when you order pizza every night, like it makes me feel X, Y, and Z because like this is what I'm trying to do, but this is what I'm struggling with right now. And I feel like a lot of times, especially with women, like they're so uncomfortable with having this conversation because, you know, they have this story in their head that if they stand up for themselves, they're gonna let somebody else down. But I believe that if you don't stand up for yourself, you end up hurting the most important person, and that is yourself. and you see women like catering to everybody like for years, but they don't cater to themselves. Like, what's the point of catering for somebody else if you can't cater for yourself? In fact, I think it's kind of selfish, to be honest, because you're only catering to them halfway because you're not being your best self.
It's also like, you know, I will always disclaim first that I'm not a mom. I can't say what it's like. I'm not going to tell you how to raise your children, but I do know that when you have a dependent, they're dependent on you. And so if you say, oh, my kid likes XYZ, your kid is dependent on you. Guess what? Sergeant, he gets to eat what we choose.
And so does your kid.
Right? He's dependent. That is right? He only eats what we choose he eats. Unless somebody else gives it to him. Right? So, because he'll eat anything. But, you know, for your kids, like, if you bring the food in the house, you're making it available. If you don't, you're not making it available. My dad would tell me, if you want something that we don't have, you need money to go get it. Because if I don't want to buy it, you don't get to have it. You are dependent, right? So kids may kick and scream, and that's you. If you're getting them what they want, and you know that it doesn't need to be in your house because it's something that holds you back, you're not leading yourself because you want somebody else to have something, right? So it is, again, this like, I don't want to inconvenience somebody, right? Women, like, we give and we want everybody to be happy around us, right? So it's like, if somebody's going to complain, then it's easy for us to give in and say, okay, you can have that, but then it's in the house and then you eat it.
But that's why it's also really important for young women to learn this at a young age, because here's the thing, you guys. Kids only know what's around them. Imagine if your kids learned at a really young age that, you know, let's say eating Pop-Tarts for breakfast will make you sick, right? Because this is what has been ingrained, and instead they ate, like, you know, an egg scramble with vegetables and, you know, like multi-grain toast, then they would act differently growing up. But like, the only time that kids will actually have a fit is because they're already addicted to sugar and junk food.
Yeah.
And whose fault is it?
They know what they're missing out on.
It's the parents' fault, because they're like, pizza tastes better than whatever. But that's because you taught them that, because you brought that into the house more often. Now imagine if for dinner, like, you made salad with grilled chicken every night. Now, I'm not saying that you have to eat the same thing all the time and that has to be it, but kids learn what they see around them, right? And that's why we're on such a big mission, because the reason why it's so much harder for moms to make a change is because they were taught things wrong, because they just didn't know anything different or any better. And they've already taught bad habits to other people who are dependent on them, right? So it will require resistance from people that they love, who might throw a fit. And who are not very logical. Kids are not logical. Like, if they want something, they'll do whatever it fucking takes. And that's why they're amazing.
And this can be a completely different topic too, but it's like, as far as a community standpoint, you could even, like, I know that when I went to my friend's house and they had snacks and stuff that my parents wouldn't get, I was like, I wanted to eat them all, right? But, you know, you can't choose what other people do. You have no control over that. However, if you instill at a young age, like, the good habits, then kids are not as likely to care so much about what they're given from others. I guess,
and you know what? And when they go to their kids, they might eat like 2 pounds of animal crackers because their parents don't know any different. But at least
it's also
your
surrounding.
kids will know that that is not good for you, and that's why you don't have it very often, right? Like only when you go to your friend's house. And you know, when it's around them, they have it. That's because kids haven't developed discipline yet.
But also,
because they didn't have a reason to.
But if you're going back to your own environment, if you have friends who are on the same page as you, friends who are also eating well, moving their bodies, treating themselves well, right? Eating healthy, then your kids go to their house, guess what they have? Healthy food, right? So it's like, also your friends and your group of people will like dictate what happens as well. So it's like, it's all up to us. But you know, there's several things that could get in the way. Just hoping to bring light today to the fact that, you know, you don't need to start tomorrow. Like get into your mind that when you think, oh, I'll start tomorrow, think what can I do right now? Even if it's not a huge step or leap or jump or whatever. What is the smallest thing I can do right now just to get my mind thinking I've already started? I don't need to start tomorrow. I've started right now. So if you're eating like a tub of cookie dough, then, you know, what can you do to start right now? Stop eating the cookie dough. Okay, I've started. Amazing.
Or eat half of it.
Right? So, you know, it's just the mentality. It's not a matter of, oh, if it's 9 p.m. and you messed up the day and you're going to start now, you have to go to the gym and run 5 miles on the treadmill. No, just it's the concept and the mindset of I'm going to start now.
It's like, what can I do that's within my control right now that can help me to not sabotage myself? And it looks different for everybody.
And you might say it 4 times in one day.
Right.
Oh, screwed up. I'm going to start now. It's 2 p.m.
I
screwed up. I'm going to start
For some
now.
people, screwing up 4 times a day is still progress instead of screwing up 20 times a day or 100 times a day, right? So remember, like, everybody is at a different part of the journey and everybody is going at a different speed, but your speed of progress is dictated by the momentum that you've built for yourself. Now, if you haven't built momentum, then I will tell you that, for one, your approach and your attitude is the first thing that has to be fixed. But attitude will come first, because without the right attitude, you won't be able to commit to the right approach. So you will keep on doing the same thing. 60 miles an hour, 0. 60 miles an hour, 0, right? You're going to like be here. Drive around in the same square for years and years on end. Now,
but your car just keeps getting older and older and harder to run.
Yep. Metabolism slows down as you age. It starts getting harder, right? It's like driving in the same square. Or if you have the right attitude, then congratulations. Now you have to get on the right approach. Mm-hmm. Well, since we're talking on the right approach, and since we have a Memorial Day sale for the 28-day metabolic reset, look, if you right now are not following any approach, or you know that your approach is wrong, then you'll want to take advantage of the 28-day metabolic reset. It's a 4-week nutrition challenge that's going to teach you the 4 foundational steps to your nutrition that will help you to build momentum.
With accountability.
With accountability, which is huge. It doesn't matter who you are, how advanced you are, or how much help you need. Without accountability, you're not going to get anywhere. That's just the reality of it.
So if you're frustrated or you're feeling stuck and you're like, okay, you know, I want to start tomorrow or start today, you know, that's something that we put at 50% off. So, you know, there is, I'll attach it when this goes to YouTube to the bottom, but I mean, it's going to end today's Memorial Day. So if you're watching this after the fact, it's already over. But yeah, it's May 25th and it's going to go until tonight. So, yeah.
Yeah. So the reason why we do this is because we want to help you by having you understand that if you keep on waiting for tomorrow to happen, you're never going to get the results that you want because of that way of thinking. Like, if you know that you're not where you want to be, your time is right now, and stop thinking that you have to be perfect. Because I feel like that is most people like biggest misconception. It's like, I can't right now because I'm around with my parents and there's cake everywhere. No, you just have to commit and maybe have one less bite. That could be your win for today. But because you haven't been taught to think differently, you think, I need to eliminate carbs and I need to eat once a day starting at noon and breakfast gonna be served at 10. No, fuck that bullshit. Drives me fucking crazy.
Yeah, so, Tammy posted the link in the comments. Thank you, Tammy. So you guys can go there, improveyousolutions.com/reset. It's $97 for 4 weeks. I don't really know how it gets better than that, but it's also go at your own pace. So if you screw up in the first week and you're like, shit, I want to start over, you can start over. That's fine. It's go at your own pace. So
it's
huge
about
mindset shifts. Yeah.
It's about you mastering the foundations and going up your own pace instead of like going so hard where you can't keep up and then you have to forever start over again. Mm-hmm. So you guys, it is Monday, Momentum Monday. Because it is Memorial Day, we will be doing Murph as a symbol of respect and gratitude for the heroes who have sacrificed their lives, and for the warriors who sacrifice their lives daily so that we can live a life of freedom and that we can choose to do whatever we want. That we can choose to have an extra piece of brownie if we want to, or we can choose to say, fuck it, I'm not doing it, right? But by the end of the day, we have a choice every single day because of them. So therefore, we'll be doing this workout at 9 a.m. Pacific time. It will be live streamed on this page. If you don't have any appointments, we really recommend that you join us to do this, because this is not about you right now. This is about showing them some respect so that you can live your most epic life. And if you're not living your most epic life, then
time to start
doing it. Like, you're the only person who can change that. And you can, because you live in this country. All right, you guys?
Amen.
Have an amazing day. We will catch you tomorrow at 6:30 and later today at 9 a.m.
Bye.
Bye.